Now, 4 months after Hamas's brutal attack on Israel, 1.3 million Palestinians in Gaza have been forced to the southern city of Rafah as the IDF has been pummeling Gaza. And now Israel has its sights set on that overcrowded city for the next phase of its plans to try to eliminate Hamas. The top IDF commander there says there is currently no plan in place to reduce civilian deaths, but would work on such a plan if and when he receives orders to enter Rafah. And while the fighting in Gaza seems to be intensifying, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is trying to broker a ceasefire and hostage deal that Israel just dismissed after the latest proposals from Hamas. Let's bring in former Secretary of Defense under Donald Trump, Mark Esper. It's his very first interview on the lead in his new role as a CNN Global Affairs analyst. He also serves on the board or as a strategic advisor for a handful of aerospace and defense-related companies. Secretary Esper, welcome to CNN officially. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Jake. Good to be with you.
So has the long-standing U.S.-Israel relationship fundamentally and irreversibly changed over the last 4 months, do you think?
I do not think so. I think the historical, cultural, and other ties are just too deep and long-standing for it to be fundamentally changed. Clearly there's a change in relationship, though, between Washington and Tel Aviv, most notably with Bibi Netanyahu and his far-right government. I think that's the change. And, of course, that's going to continue to evolve as this conflict drags on.
His government is not just far-right. I mean, if the two far-right religious zealots, bigots, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, if they were to take a hike, they would take with them, theoretically, 14 seats, and Netanyahu's government would fall. So he can't alienate them in any way, and they have really extreme views on Palestinians, racist views on the West Bank, on Gaza. Is there any peace possible in the region with this Israeli government, with these people in it?
Yeah, look, you're right, Jake. You have those members and others who want to reoccupy Gaza, who want to push the Gazans, the Palestinians in Gaza, into Egypt and other places, and basically put Jewish settlers back in. So it's not something that's feasible. I think the broader spectrum of Israeli politics does not want a reoccupation of Gaza, but they do want a better defensive situation. And of course, you have to deal with what's the end state, which we still don't know. We have some plans, some ideas, but you have this two-state solution that remains out there, probably the best possible one, assuming you have a reformed or a renewed Palestinian Authority. But look, I think the politics internal to Israel within his cabinet are what's driving Bibi Netanyahu right now to take these hard stances with regard to, for example, the latest proposal that came back from Hamas and what the likelihood of a deal is.
I want to also turn to the breaking news from Iraq. The U.S. drone strike in Baghdad. Central Command says a Kataib Hezbollah commander responsible for attacking U.S. troops in the region was killed. Looking at the video, the strike appears very precise. Explain the planning and intelligence gathering that goes into a strike such as this.
Yeah, well, of course, we go through great efforts at DOD and the intelligence community to track the leaders of these various groups, and there's many of them that are out there, these Iranian-sponsored Shia militia groups, and you want to track their whereabouts. You want to know who they're meeting with. You want to try to intercept communications to understand what they're doing. So, look, it's tracked very carefully. I think this is a good thing that they did, a good targeting. It's good to kill the leaders of these groups. But, look, the best you're going to do is disrupt and degrade their capabilities. If you really want to deter, and I've said this before, you have to go after things that Iran values. And for Iran, these proxy groups are expendable. They've been at this for 40-some years, funding them, arming them, training them. You know, the talk last week about a strong response to Iran based on after the deaths of the 3 American soldiers is just kind of left me a little disappointed in terms of what we've seen so far and what I believe will not deter the Iranians going forward. We've already had 2 or 3 militia group attacks since last Friday's 85 target assault by U.S. forces.